Hey guys, this is Julian from the Binary Lab. I know it's kind of late here, it's actually about 12:30, but in this video I'm going to be teaching you about how to achieve massive account growth this month. So you may have most probably watched my recent video that's going on quite viral on the internet right now about how I've taken a demo account of 1,000 into 32,000 within 6 or 7 trades, no loss within 22 minutes. So I'm going to be giving you a very practical, achievable plan today that you can use to create massive results on your account this month. Alright, so in my most recent email to you, in fact my yesterday's email, if you're not already on my email list, go to my thebinarylab.net page /sign-up and get yourself on my mailing list. Alright, because in my last email I shared with you some thoughts I had. Obviously, coming off Sunday, I was super super empowered, and I was looking forward to recreate those results on my live account, using a percentage of my live account to basically compound and reinvest, any profits to the next trade, to the next trade, to the next trade. But what I found out was that it can be kind of tricky sometimes. It could be because of weekend conditions being not the same as weekday conditions. It could be that there are more factors at work. For example, there are economic releases, one underlining the next, and sometimes there can be surprise events as well. However, I've come up with a solution, and I think you guys will be very interested to listen to this solution on how you can achieve this massive account growth. Alright, so listen to me carefully. This is what I actually did during my most recent Binary Lab live webinar, and this was just about 2 hours ago. So if you are not on my webinars, you should become a member of the Binary Lab so that you can be on my webinars. So on this webinar, I came up with a system of growing my account massively. Alright, so the problem was that obviously if we can compound it is great, but sometimes when we try to compound, it does makes us feel like idiots if after a couple of minutes we hit a losing trade and we lose all of what we've been working for. Alright, so I'm going to give you a strategy that you can work with. What you need to do is get yourself to about 3 winning trades. So once you're on 3 winning trades, you can use a portion of your 3rd winning trade to actually make some compounding. Alright, so if you're usually doing about 2% per trade, and then you would have 6% under your belt. So basically, before anything happens, alright, you have a positive account growth of 6%. And with this 6% in hand, you can decide to use 2% of the 2% out of that 6%. Basically a third of that, or you can use like a quarter of that. Alright, and basically it could even be a 1%, so like a fifth of what you made for that day. A third, a fifth, a quarter, doesn't matter. And that is what you're going to roll your if you're a bit more daring, you can take a third, use that and basically roll. So use that to roll on with your compounding. So let's say if you went in like 50 50 50, alright, your next trade you would have made probably about 40 40 40, or let's say 45 45 45. I mean, we made 135, and now you can actually invest about 35 bucks on your next trade. So if you win this next trade, you are actually you're actually able to start growing it. But once you win that next trade, what I would do is I would make I'll take this amount and divide it by 3 and spend 66%. I'll always keep 33% reserve, so that if I were to start over again, I'm over my starting amount, and I don't have to dig into my profits for today to start trading again. I mean, that is a last ditch resort, but I am still ahead. So let's say when I'm in a profit, I divide what I have by 3, okay, and then I take two thirds of that to actually start my next set. So once I win again, I divide the next trade plus my capital beyond that certain balance by 3. I'll use 2/3 of that. So always using 66% of whatever amount. Let's say now I hit 6,000, or let's say now I hit 5,000 or 1,000, depending what your amount is. Okay, my target today, let's say if I've hit 6%, let's say if that amount could be, let's say 6,000, and then anything beyond 6,000 can be used towards this. But let's say if I have 100 bucks above 6,000, alright, now I have $100 to play with, but let's take 66 bucks. Why 66? Because if I take 66 bucks towards my trade, and then let's say if I have to re-enter the trade, you know how often it is in IQ option that sometimes, by the way, you should be using IQ option if you're not, because you can sell the trade really late into the trade and receive up to 50% or even 70% of your trade back. So most of the time I get about 50% of my trade back, and then let's say 50, but if I have a bad entry, I sell it, I get back in again, I use that other 33 bucks that I haven't touched, all right, plus let's say if I took a $66 position, I sold it halfway, I got it 33. Now I can take another $66 trade, and then I can make it positive again. And then after I win, I then take the whole sum, which is 66 plus another 45, another about 50 bucks or so, about 111. I divide that by 3, and then I go in my next trade about like 75-ish. All right, and then it keeps going and going and going. So I would always keep 33% reserve and start over again. And let's say if I get to a comfortable enough number, or I find that I almost lost a trade, or I tied it, when I find that the trade is not working the way I want, I sell and just retire early. So I don't necessarily have to wait for the trade to expire in a loss. I can still take my money out early and lock in the wins that I have. And then let's say if I have 3 compounded cycles that is possible, so that's profitable. So let's say I've compounded 33, I've flipped it, all right, I've flipped it a couple of times over, and now probably I have that 33 is getting me about 200 per trade. I can decide to start over again at 33 for my first trade, for instance, or let's say 66, whatever the amount is. I start again after a few cycles, and then I go back again. A few cycles, I go back again. So this way I can constantly build my account. And of course, when the markets are in a strong trend, or let's say in a strong swing manner and support the strategy, feel free to run it for a little bit more. But no matter what, you're still ahead. So anything, no matter what, you're still positive. All right. I hope this finds you well, and run with this idea. You make a lot of money this month, and you massively compound your profits. So running with this idea, let's say if you got the right day, on a bad day, you still locked in your 5% or your 4% profit per day. But on a good day, that extra 1% that you can possibly roll it into an extra 20% per day. All right, sky's the limit, even 50%. On Sunday, I had a dream. The same night when I did that trading of 1,000 to 32,000 on that account. By the way, watch the video if you haven't done so yet. I had a dream that it was live money. And in my dream, I spent another half an hour to turn that 32,000 into 900,000. That was my dream. The sky's the limit. So I'm continuing to tweak, but in the meantime, always keep a portion set aside. Always set aside a daily profit target, and once you hit the target, use anything above that. Lock in your money, and this way you're going to keep going positive. All right. So this way it's going to keep you from losing money as well, and it's going to basically amplify your wins. I hope this finds you well. Comment below this video, and if you're not already on my mailing list to get my daily tips and advice, sign up for my mailing list now at thebinarylab.net. All right, /sign-up. Bye for now.